What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to another video at Axe Entertainment. I'm your host, Zach Axe, bringing you another edition of WWE Weekly Awards. So we're coming off a week in wrestling where honestly not too much really happened, nothing groundbreaking. There wasn't like any craziness happening on any of the brands because we're leading into two pay-per-views and they're trying to messily build for both of them, being Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. Getting right into the awards, we're going to start with Female MVP of the Week. And we're going to go ahead and give the honorable mention to Naomi. Naomi won her Money in the Bank qualifying match. Hopefully I could see Naomi being the one to win Money in the Bank, so I'm really excited for her. But kind of by default, I had to give this award to JC Jane, your new NXT Women's Champion. Now, I am one that, I don't know, man. I just didn't want to see JC Jane win this title. I think, honestly, if we're going to have Stephanie lose the title, we should have just gone ahead and did it at Battleground against Jordynne Grace in an arguably better match and a better environment to a bigger star. And I would have just rather seen Jordynne Grace be the NXT Women's Champion. Now, if she's getting called up, that's something different. Okay, I'm glad we're experimenting with JC Jane, but I just don't see why we had her beat Jordynne Grace for it, but then lose to JC Jane. I like the idea that it's not, everyone's first choice. Like, I really like in wrestling when somebody loses their title to somebody that you didn't expect winning. Like me personally, when Jinder Mahal won the WWE Championship, I was kind of like, holy crap, like no one saw Jinder Mahal winning that championship, and then he did. And I kind of like moments like that in WWE. I like when they give the title to somebody that is unexpected, but I also like when it's somebody that has kind of earned it a little bit more, and I just feel like JC Jane's kind of weird, but she put on a pretty good match with Stephanie Vauquer. Definitely not the best match. It was very systematic, and overall, I didn't want to see JC Jane win this title and beat Stephanie Vauquer. But if this means Vauquer, which it does, and I'm going to talk about it in the next one, goes to the main roster, that's completely okay. I guess we need to get the title off of her so she could go be a full-time main roster member. I do want to mention in the match, the referee was hella touchy. I don't know if anybody else saw this or if it was just me, but that ref was touching these ladies every 2 seconds. Like, that dude's whoa. That dude's like a creepo or something. I don't know if like he was told to do that or if there was like, there shouldn't be a language barrier there because Stephanie's very good at English, but like every 2 seconds he would go up, he'd touch JC, and then he'd touch Stephanie, and then the next move would happen, he'd touch him again. It was really weird. I don't know if I'm just like seeing things. Maybe this happens every match and I'm just not paying attention to the referee that much, but when I saw the referee do it 3, 4, 5, then like 10 plus times, I was like, okay, this is getting a little weird. But that does lead perfectly into the first topic I want to talk about in this video, which is the NXT call-ups. And I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little one of those because I said that NXT could send Roxanne Perez, Julia, and Stephanie Vauquer to the main roster right now and they'd be completely okay. And what did they do maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks after I say that in the weekly awards? They send Stephanie Vauquer, Julia, and Roxanne Perez to the main roster. And I'm really glad that 2 of them went to Raw. And I'm glad the 2 that went to Raw were the 2 that went to Raw because I feel like Stephanie Vauquer is a huge star and Roxanne Perez is a huge star in the making. And these 2 going to a brand that's very lackluster right now in women's talent. All we really have for main event women's talent in Raw right now, I would say, is your champion Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, and Lyra Valkyria. 2 of them are tied up in a feud for the mid-card title. And then that's all we have in the main, championship division for Monday Night Raw. So sending 2 main names to the main roster for Raw is absolutely amazing. I'm glad that they're doing something to fix this kind of lackluster Raw division that we have for the women. And they set up so many different dream matches between Io, Stephanie, Rhea, Roxanne, just kind of mixing all them up, and then eventually, hopefully, after she drops the title, Lyra can be inserted into the main event scene. And there's just so much potential for this Raw Women's division. Now, the SmackDown's Women's division got Julia, which I feel like the SmackDown division in the main event scene for the women over there, you have Tiffany, you have Jade, you have Naomi, you have Nia, you have Bianca when she comes back. You have and even Chelsea can move up right now and nobody would bat an eye. You have so many different women that can be main eventers on SmackDown. I'm glad they only sent one, and the one they sent is Julia, and Julia is absolutely insane. Same thing I said about the other 2, put them right here on top of the fact that there's so many more dream matches that we can also have here between Julia and all these other women that people have been clamoring for her to wrestle for years now. Next, what I want to give out is promo of the week. Now, promos were something that was very lackluster this week. There was like no good promos this week. I don't know what it was, but it just seemed like there was like nobody was trying to cut a good promo, and there wasn't really that many promos. Like NXT, I don't think there was really, besides Obafemi, like a promo that got cut. So I'm gonna give honorable mention to the Cody, Uso, Cena, Paul promo. I think that was running a little too quick, didn't have time to get the feet that it needed, but the polish his Peacemaker line just gives an honorable mention because that line was so friggin' funny. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give promo of the week to Damian Priest for simply the fact that I feel like he's the only person that gave a promo with like conviction. Like he seemed like he had something that he wanted, and he came out and he talked about it. And one of the things I really liked about this promo was that we didn't see somebody come out and break it up. We didn't see somebody come out and take half of the spotlight. The whole promo the whole time was Damian Priest just talking about how what he's did, what he has done, what he's going to do, and what he wants to do with Jacob Fatu and that U.S. Championship, looking to come after that title. And I think that he just delivered a pretty good promo, and that's going to give him promo of the week. And this week where we had not a lot of good promos or any promos at all. Speaking of Cena and all of them, I do want to talk a little bit about John Cena now for the next topic. And I've seen a lot of people online saying that he's being wasted right now. His dates are being wasted in this tag team match. And I'm going to have to agree. There's not a lot of times where you'll find me agreeing with the online internet community. Online wrestling community. I don't know why I said internet community. But this one is definitely a time where I very much agree. And I love Logan Paul. Logan Paul is great. I don't want to see Logan Paul versus John Cena. And that's what everyone's saying. It's looking like that's what WWE is looking like they're wanting to do. And if we do get this match, I want to see it after SummerSlam. I don't want to see this at the next pay-per-view. I don't want to see a big turn on Money in the Bank between either one of these guys, because no matter if you turn Paul on Cena, Cena's a good guy. If you have Cena turn on Paul, Cena's still going to be the good guy, because no one's going to boo John Cena for turning on Logan Paul. They're just going to cheer him for turning on Logan Paul, even if he's doing, bad things. And that makes Logan Paul a good guy. I don't think this should lead into a match. I hope we kind of save this. I think after SummerSlam and after Cody, hopefully Cody just takes the title at SummerSlam, takes it back, and then we can get into the good guy Cena, maybe a handshake after the match. And we can get into good guy Cena going after these heels that we've been clamoring since he announced his retirement to see him wrestle, like Gunther, like Logan Paul. And I feel like that's a good time to have Logan Paul versus John Cena in a non-title match environment at a B-rate pay-per-view. Save everything else that Cena's doing for somewhere else or something else. But if you're going to have Cena versus Logan Paul, have it at a B-rate pay-per-view after Cena turns face. Next award I'm going to give out is Team of the Week. Now, this is a week that every single tag team division was in one segment on their show, and that was it. So we had the Raw tag division, where we had pretty much the only three teams on Raw in a triple threat tag team match for the titles. And then on SmackDown, we had pretty much every team come out to the ring and get beat up by the Wyatt Six, which is why I'm going to give this award to the Wyatt Six. On NXT, we didn't really see any movement in the tag division. I'm going to give an honorable mention to the New Day just because they won the match on Raw. But I'm going to give Wyatt Six the award here because Wyatt Six looking dominant against made tag teams is a great move. That's a great move to give the Wyatt Six purpose, because they have never felt like, since they debuted, that they had purpose. When they first came out, maybe, I felt like they had purpose. They're going after the people that turn their back on their family. That makes sense, And then we started fantasy booking all these different people that the Wyatt Six could attack, and he turned his back on his family, he turned his back on his family, Jey Uso turned his back on his family, Jimmy Uso, all these different guys who started connecting dots that weren't even there. And it seemed like they just were like, you know what, screw this, screw the thing, because that can only get you so far, just attacking people that turn on their family. That happens every day. Every single person in WWE at one point or another has pretty much turned on a family member or a close friend. So that felt like that was going to get old very quickly. So I'm glad that they kind of went away from that, and they're like, you know what, you're just going to cause mayhem. And that's what they needed to do from the get-go, was just attack people. And now it looks like they're going for titles, which I think same thing with kind of Bray Wyatt was like, why would he necessarily want a title? Because, I don't know, it's really hard to tell with the Wyatt Six, but I'm glad they're doing something with them. And if it means they're going to go after the tag titles, or if Uncle Howdy's going to move out and go for a bigger title, whatever, as long as the Wyatt Six is on the TV and they're doing something with them, because for the longest time it felt like we were wasting these 5 talents. And I'm excited that they're back on the TV every week. And I feel like adding them to the tag team division, where there's already 6 great tag teams, making a 7th, I guess you could call it 7th great tag team, I think that's a brilliant move. Even though Raw needs more tag teams, send Pretty Deadly or send Los Garza over to Raw and let them cook over there, because those are the ones that are being used the least. They need time. They need time on TV, and those are the ones that you don't really need on SmackDown right now. So send them to Raw and let them do something over there. Going to the next topic I want to talk about is the TNA World Championship. Yeah, we're talking about the TNA World Championship on WWE Weekly Awards, and that is because your champion at this moment is Trick Williams. And Trick Williams, we saw him cut a little promo. I completely forgot about that promo until now. But Trick Williams cut a little promo, just talking down a bunch of different things. And then we've seen Mike Santana of TNA come out after his win over Tavion Heights to confront Trick Williams. And I think this is where we need to go with Trick Williams, because if you want to look at it from a kayfabe perspective, you would think that everybody in TNA wants that title off of Trick Williams, whether it's the president, whether it's the Santino Marella, whether it's the wrestlers. Everybody should want that title to come off of Trick Williams. So what should happen every week, in my opinion, is every week we should have a different challenger for Trick Williams, whether it's at TNA or whether it's at WWE NXT. We should have a different challenger for coming after Trick Williams every week and getting a title shot automatically, because they should be trying their best to get that title off of Trick Williams, because that's what you think they want to do, right? They want to get that title off Trick Williams, get it back onto Joe Hendry, give it to Moose, give it to somebody that's big in the TNA landscape, which it doesn't look like that we're going to do, because we didn't get one this week, and it just seemed like Santino wasn't really fussed that he was champion, just kind of was like, yeah, you're going to have a match. But I think, and it went over Mike Santana would be great, and then goes on to have other different dream matches with these TNA guys, and until he finally loses the title, probably back to Joe Hendry, be my guess, or maybe to a Nick Nemeth, or somebody along those lines, because the whole storyline should be that they do not want Trick Williams, an NXT guy, to have the TNA championship, and they should be trying their hardest to get it off of him, and I hope that's what we're going to see going forward. Next award I want to give out is Male MVP. Now I'm going to give runner-up for Male MVP to Javon Evans, simply because he didn't do much on NXT this week. He was just kind of there telling Ethan Page that he's going to defend his title against this guy, that guy, and the other guy, Ray Phoenix and Laredo Kid. But he didn't do much on NXT. And then he comes out to Friday Night Smackdown as pretty much surprised. I don't think it was announced. I didn't know it was announced if it was. As a surprise entrant, comes out and shocks the world with how good he is, because a lot of people on the main roster, a lot of the fans that only watch the main roster, they don't know who Javon Evans is. They have no idea. They might know Obafemi, but that's like as far as their NXT knowledge usually goes, is who the champion is in NXT. So they don't know Javon Evans. So when Javon Evans came out and showed what he's about, it was absolutely amazing, because I hate when they do give these NXT guys a chance and it's not in the right spot. So they kind of flop, and then it's like, oh, these guys aren't good enough to be called up yet, or these guys aren't good enough to whatever. They give Javon Evans a shot, and it's not by any means a call-up. He's not getting called up. He's not getting brought up, nothing. He's staying in NXT. This is just a one-off to promote him and Ray Phoenix challenging for Ethan Page's championship. And he got to show up and show out. That's why he's getting honorable mention. And I just realized I'm sitting here talking all this about him. He's honorable mention. I'm giving Male MVP of the Week to Ethan Page. Kind of we could say for the same reason JC Jane got this title, and that is because she and he won a championship. Now he is the new North American champion. My only problem with this is nothing to do with Ethan Page. It's just I feel like they change the North American champion every 2 minutes. Like the NXT championship, the main championship, is always getting involved in long runs for the most part. But the North American championship, since Obafemi had it, it's just flip-flopping hands every 2 weeks, it feels like. And I want to see a champion be able to come out and have a dominant run with the North American Championship instead of losing it 2 weeks later. But the way they did it makes sense, because Ricky Sane's got an incredibly painful cutter onto the chair. That was absolutely insane. That hurt me just watching. He started foaming from the mouth and stuff. That was absolutely insane. And then they put on a pretty good match. It was a pretty decent match all around. And then Ethan Page comes out with a huge win. And I'm okay with this because Ethan Page is a known commodity, and giving him another notch on his belt before he goes to the main roster and probably never has another opportunity to come back and get these accomplishments, giving him it right now is a great move, because we know he's been NXT champion and now he's North American champion, so he has 2 notches on his belt, not 2 notches that a lot of people don't have when they go to the main roster, and now he does. So when he eventually, hopefully soon, comes up to the main roster after he loses that title, then he has a couple more notches, a couple more things to brag about on commentary while they're talking about it. And then also he shows up on Smackdown, has some altercations with the different guys on Smackdown, and he gets his first look of the main roster. So that's just why I had to give Ethan Page male MVP this week. So originally this video only had 4 topics. I only had 4 things to talk about. I was going to give the next award and then be done with it. But this topic actually got added today when this happened. And that is, we had the announcement of not only 1 legend leaving WWE, but 2 legends in R-Truth and Carlito. Now, we started with R-Truth. That's how we started the day, with R-Truth telling us that he is actually being released by WWE. And then Carlito later on in the day telling us that he will not be renewing his contract. So it seemed like between the two, R-Truth seemed a little bit more forced with how he worded it, with being, oh, I'm being released, versus Carlito saying I'm not re-signing. So it seemed like maybe they were going to release Carlito, but the way they said it, it seemed more like R-Truth was forced. And everyone coming out and talking about R-Truth, it's just kind of gets you teary-eyed, because R-Truth is such a known commodity. He's not, he's not the best in the ring. He's not the guy that's winning all the main championships, but he's a reliable guy that's always there. And in his 50s, he's able to do whatever he wants. Now, next steps for R-Truth, I don't know. I truthfully, no pun intended, don't think he's going to AEW. A lot of people, as soon as somebody leaves WWE, they jump on the AEW train and vice versa. So I don't think he's going to AEW, though. I could see him going to TNA. Because he's been to TNA before, but at the same time, I didn't think Edge would go to AEW. I didn't think Chris Jericho, Big Show, Mark Henry, any of these guys would go to AEW, and they all ended up going to AEW to experience it. And if that's what R-Truth wants to do, good on him. I hope he goes over there, and I hope he doesn't die, because I feel like R-Truth has been so underused on WWE TV that if he goes over there and they use him, he's gonna show up and show out even more than he did in WWE. Now, getting into Carlito, I thought this one was a little bit weird, because even though he's not a luchador in the traditional sense, I was thinking maybe AAA bound was Carlito. I was actually hoping that when they got, he was one of the first guys I thought of when AAA was acquired by WWE. I was like, cool, well maybe Carlito can just leave this Judgment Day stuff that, he's really funny, but that's it. He's really funny, but they're never giving him matches. He's only ever there to get speared by Braun Breaker, or beat up by somebody. He was never really there to win matches or even be in matches for that matter. So I was kind of hoping maybe with the, they bought AAA, I was hoping they would send Carlito over to AAA and let him, have some barn burners over there, let him actually get on the card every week. But that's not what we're doing. Instead, it looks like he's just going to get released. And Carlito is a guy I could definitely see going to AEW. I could see him going over to AEW and having some matches, or even being a manager. I honestly don't see AEW using Carlito like he probably would like to be used. I see them giving him a role just like Jesus Christ, why is my voice cracking so much? I see them giving him a role just like he had in WWE, with just a side piece, funny manager character. But either way, I hope whatever Carlito and R-Truth do, I hope that it's great for them. I hope it's what they want to do. And it could be a retirement. Both of them are getting up there in age. Well, R-Truth, you would never know. But if they're going to continue to wrestle, I'm going to continue to follow their careers, and I hope they have great careers to flourish even outside of WWE, because I think both of them one day will be Hall of Famers. Oh my God. Right in the mic too. The last award we have to give out is Match of the Week. Now, this is a week where honestly a lot of the matches were very good. A lot of the matches were very enjoyable. And I'm going to give honorable mention to a Money in the Bank qualifying match between Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, and Fatu. I thought that match was very good. I think everybody in that match played their roles very well. And Andrade came out with a surprise victory. He was not who I thought was going to win that match, but I'm very excited. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if Andrade won Money in the Bank. He wasn't in my video because I honestly didn't see them giving him a spot. But I wouldn't mind Andrade being Mr. Money in the Bank and maybe getting to actually have character going forward. But I don't see that happening. Anyways, though, the winner of this award is going to be Chad Gable versus Penta versus Dragon Lee in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. Now, what's really sad is on a show where we had 2 Money in the Bank qualifying matches, one was stacked. One was Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. Excuse me. One was Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn. Absolutely stacked main event right there. So that match should have been the one that honestly won. But that match overall was very slow paced. It felt like the traditional triple threat where it's a one-on-one and then the third guy comes in and then the other guy leaves and it's a one-on-one. But the match between Lee, Penta, and Gable felt like it was always a triple threat. They were always in the ring doing crazy spots. We had a lot of honestly crazy spots. There was a crazy good suicide dive from Penta. We also had Dragon Lee being able to show what he's made of, because we don't get to see a lot of Dragon Lee on WWE TV, especially because he's kind of been pushed aside for Penta, for Rey Fenix, and for all these new luchadors coming in. So I'm glad we finally got to see Dragon Lee, be able to show out in a big environment. And I absolutely love Dragon Lee. I think his character work is but him as a wrestler, he is amazing. I'm glad he got to show up and show out some of his moves. And then we had also this crazy spot where Penta had kind of a gory bomb on Dragon Lee, and then double hooked Gable, and he dropped Gable right on his head. Gable honestly scorpioned himself. That was insane. We also had a moment with Chad Gable picking up both of them in a German suplex, which honestly I'd say Braun Strowman probably weighs more than both of them, so he's done that before. It's been more impressive the other way, but that was still a very cool sequence, going for the Penta driver into the double German suplex. And overall, this match is absolutely cooked. We also had an insane belly-to-belly in the corner. And then Penta picks up the win and goes to Money in the Bank, which is great. I think Penta or Dragon Lee would have both offered the same thing in this match, whether either one won. And that is just a high flyer that can absolutely pull out these amazing spots, which is what you always need in a ladder match. And that leads perfectly into my last topic, which is next week's Money in the Bank qualifier between AJ Styles, CM Punk, and El Grande Americano. Now, this makes me mad for 2 reasons. We'll start with the fact that why the hell was Chad Gable in the match this week between 2 luchadors, and El Grande Americano is in the match next week against 2 non-luchadors? Because if you want to go by storyline, Chad Gable should be wrestling Punk and AJ, while El Grande was wrestling his arch nemesis. Is that right? Yeah. Dragon Lee and Penta, which I know why in the end, because they wanted Penta to win and they probably didn't want El Grande Americano to lose to a luchador this soon. But still, in the same hand, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm hoping and praying, I know this isn't going to happen, but I'm hoping and praying that this is a setup in some way or another to get Cross in the match. I hope we don't just run with the Grande Americano in this match. I hope he gets taken out. Whether we say Chad Gable got injured in the match this week and then so next week he can't compete, or whether, maybe CM Punk gets taken out by Seth Rollins so he can't compete. I hope Karrion Kross is in this match. Now, do I think Karrion Kross should be in Money in the Bank? Yeah. But do I think he should win it over CM Punk is a different question, because CM Punk has a storyline right now with Seth Rollins, and I think that's what's going to make its way into Money in the Bank somehow, is with CM Punk and Seth Rollins both qualifying, seeing as Seth Rollins is already qualified. But at the same time, even if Kross isn't in Money in the Bank, if they don't want Kross in Money in the Bank, that is okay. But take away El Grande Americano from this match. I really hope, and I'm hoping this happens. I'm hoping Grande is injured because Chad's injured, and they have to sell a storyline that says, Grande's away or something, and we just give Kross the push, not push, but the spot, because Kross deserves it. I'm not saying you have to push Kross to the moon right now like everybody wants. I'm not saying he has to win Money in the Bank, which I would love him to, but I'm not saying he has to. Just give him a freaking match on Monday Night Raw. If I had to guess, he's going to end up fighting Sami Zayn on Monday. But I would rather him be here to have Kross versus Punk versus AJ. That would be an absolutely amazing match. And I know they seem like they don't want Kross to flourish, but if you wanted Kross to flourish, putting him against 2 of the best workers in WWE right now and CM Punk and AJ Styles would be the perfect move. So then we have Kross finally being able to land his feet as, an actual competitor against these 2 instead of just being snubbed all the time. I love the jokes with Chad Gable. I love the jokes with El Grande. I love the character of El Grande, but I don't love that he's taking 2 spots right now for the qualifying matches. while Cross doesn't even have one, which also doesn't make sense because Adam Pearce thinks they're the same person also. So why would Adam Pearce go through and give both of them separate matches and give Chad Gable 2 opportunities to be in it, especially after Chad Gable lost the other one? Because now, even if they both won, then you could. I'm ranting. Cross should be in the spot, not El Grande, and I'm hoping that they put Cross in this match before it happens. Talking about Karrion Kross really gets me upset nowadays. I've always loved Karrion Kross. But if you guys did enjoy this video, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what your favorite match from this week was, tell me if there's any awards you'd give to somebody else. If you want to see my review of the recent Saturday Night's Main Event and NXT Battleground, that will be on the channel. Go check that out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe. Peace.
This happened if I had real tough love, I'm bad at this, and I'm bad for this.
Narcissistic tendencies, I don't care about no one else. Narcissistic tendencies, I'm low, so set me on the shelf. Few people ever have my back, yeah, there ain't no doubt about that.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to another video at Axe Entertainment. I'm your host, Zach Axe, bringing you another edition of Weekly Awards. Weekly Awards? What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to another video at Axe Entertainment. I am your host, Zach Axe, bringing you another edition of Weekly Awards from... Fuck.